The decision about your personal life is yours. Only yours. I can only raise your awareness so that you gain clarity. Again, what comes to your decision, when you gain clarity and you've gotten this kind of like contentment about this decision, right? You're like, yes, this is the right one now. Fine.
Right.
Finally, no conditionings, no currents of resistance, nothing. You have to make an action plan. You have to now manifest this clarity of your subtle decision on the paper, where you write down yourself, okay, this is the first thing to do, to have, let's say, a conversation. This is the second thing to do, to have arrangements of some sort, right? This is another, remember, there can be unexpected turns, emotional outbursts, there can be some kind of reminiscence, there can be moments of heartbreak, there can be moments of, someone pleading and begging. All of these have to be kind of accepted as a part of this process of detachment, where you will need to deal with someone else's codependency, and you will need to stand your ground, establish healthy boundaries. There might be a need for more conversations, more talks, where you will need to be in the position of someone else's parent, or a teacher. But again, there has to be a separation on a positive note, no matter what, because you don't want other people's negative thoughts as a residue. So you have to always speak from, I feel like this. I am not satisfied. I am not seeing the common vision. Watch my webinar, our webinar, you remember from June, I think, of a relationship. You have to always come from the standpoint of what I want, my needs. I mean, who knows? People can, I mean, you cannot control other people's emotions or their, responses, because they will act the way they're used to.
Right.
So they have the traumatic response, they're used to certain type of communication, certain type of getting what they want and stuff like this. So they pursue this the same way if they're still codependent. Now, your task is to know, to be always within yourself, know your decision, stand by your decision, stand your ground, be focused within, and understand what is your priority. If the priority is self-restoration, self-love, rejuvenation, and healing, then that has to be always kept in your focus. And when you deal with that person, you might have a moment of giving into, okay, I'm sorry for them, But remember, their journey is no longer part of your journey. You made a decision. You parted with these energies within you. You've healed yourself to a certain degree. Those frequencies are no longer valid for you. That's why you're parting your ways. It's not about taking it personal or hurting someone because they're not beautiful, because they're not enough, successful or whatever not, or because they're no longer sexy or attractive. No, it's more about frequency here, because the attraction went down or lowered, because all of that happened because the reality of these things is that the attraction kind of dissipated because the frequency changed within you and maybe didn't change within them, or vice versa. Something changed where there is mismatch of energy frequency between the both. That's why the relationship comes to the breaking point, where either people make an effort, if there is true love, because the lower frequencies can be, somewhat adjusted or refined through the higher connection. When there is higher form of love and frequency connection, anything on the lower level can be adjusted and changed, or an effort can be made to change it. But as long as there is no higher connection there, the people start paying more attention to the material side of the relationship. They start showing the calculative, pragmatic, logical, judgmental attitude to the relationship, where all of a sudden everything is bad. It's not that everything is bad, it's because love is not there. The infatuation stage is over, and the connection has never been based on higher frequency. The first reason is because, first of all, these people have never been connected with a higher frequency within themselves first. If they were connected within themselves with this higher frequency, this would be called a higher soul connection, a higher frequency soul connection, right? So in that case, whatever challenges might have come on their path, on their journey, they could have been resolved one way or the other, because that frequency would pull them together. They would still want, maybe even if they broke up or had separation, they would be still pulled together to resolve the other impediments and obstacles on the lower level. But when the relationship lacked the foundation, and the majority of people misunderstand the foundation, they think the foundation is that, material side. No, the foundation is the higher frequency, because remember, consciousness is the root, the body is the fruit, and whatever in between is just a part of life. So it's called the tree of life, right, in esoteric traditions. So when the relationship is not based or has not been based on or founded on this higher frequency of love, sooner or later the attraction will wane away, the infatuation phase will dissolve, the romantic parts will dissolve, because people will come back to their natural frequency, which they have always been, vibrating before they met you, before they, got infatuated or attracted because of whatever reason. Again, this attraction is called karmic attraction, because there is something within your consciousness, something within their consciousness that is attracting both of you to this relationship for the sake of resolution of this karmic whatever residue on whichever level, because both will be triggering. Many people dream about this twin flame and soul connection, but the reality of most of the connections in this day and age is karmic, because we come here to resolve our residue, which has been accumulated through the down cycle, through the cycle of the corruption. And so there is always some kind of a karmic excuse. Oh, this person is nice, even if it's unconscious. When I'm with them, I feel peaceful, even to that degree. Or when I'm with them, they give me a sense of, love. But again, this love that I imagine love is, like I haven't maybe received love from my parents, or maybe I was, something was wrong in my early childhood. So now this person invoked in me something else that I was missing. But it's again temporarily, because it's all conditional. As long as the foundation is not unconditional, that energetic charge of each and every reason that has been based on conditioning will dissolve with time, because you will heal, because slowly we're always, we grow through relationships, whether we want it or not. So sooner or later, this energetic charge that brought you together will be dissolved, because one of you has progressed to this degree, another one maybe has not progressed or progressed in a different direction, but there will be this mismatch of frequencies. That glue, that karmic glue, that tie that brought you together now is no longer there. The frequency changed, and so the breakup is inevitable. Most of the people take it so personally, they try to romanticize, they try to bring some kind of, Hollywood, Bollywood idea about, love into the very, very direct and karmically based relationships. There's no romanticism there. It's just all natural because nature itself brings you together. Your nature that you refuse to see, refuse to acknowledge, that nature, which is at this point corrupt, The corruption brings you together, the frequency of corruption, whatever the frequency. That's why also people in this day and age, because it's a very intense moment right now in our evolution, where we're trying to break through the limitations, but it's still just the very, very beginning. So even though people have this understanding, they sometimes still want to romanticize relationships without really understanding that they have played an enormous evolutionary role. For example, they say, oh, but why there's so many people divorcing and changing relationships? Because now the time intensified. So now you're going through this karmic evolutionary refinement faster. You've refined one aspect, okay, the relationship dissolved. Next. You were in that relationship, okay, you've learned something, okay, it's dissolved. You're no longer attracted. The attraction is that karmic frequency of consciousness that brings you together, because this consciousness wants to refine on the collective and individual levels. That's why there is attraction. Attraction is nothing but the karmic residue within consciousness that vibrates in such a way that you attract an experience that will invoke that residue so that you can become aware of it, so that you can finally dissolve it and heal. Once the healing and dissolution happen, whether before the breakup or after, you're no longer attracted. You're no longer interested. It's like it has never happened. It's no longer valid for your life. And people wonder sometimes why they return to their axis, or why they still feel connected, or because something is not learned. Something is key, because maybe they broke up because of whatever ego clashes and stuff, and refuse simply to continue the journey and work. And yet they're sitting there reminiscing, suffering alone, without understanding that their soul has not fulfilled its purpose of purging that residue, karmic residue, which brought them together with their exes. And so they continuously go back and forth. And that's why many people have these multiple relationships. Today they're with one person, tomorrow they come back to the ex, again to the other ex maybe, or the other ex calls, because no one, all of these people, none of these people in this triangle or whatever situation has not finalized this, connections. They haven't had this closure. And closure is only when there is a complete dissolution of traumatic response to these triggers, to these beings. Complete dissolution of traumatic response. No reaction. When that person arises in front of you, no reaction. Nothing. Then it means the relationship is truly over. Otherwise, it keeps on dragging along lives. Many lives sometimes. Because people refuse to work and to heal, because no one tells them that relationships are not for entertainment, they're for evolutionary growth, at least in this day and age, so that we can come back and restore the higher frequency within ourselves. Not the higher frequency is always there, but restore the connection with it, so that we can recognize true love and connect to other people on the basis of soul frequency. On the basis of soul frequency, on the basis of like-mindedness, on the basis of, I want to give, I want to be generous, because that's the frequency of love, generosity, giving, fulfilling, but naturally, unconditionally, without seeking for that in return. Yet in a relationship, it will, in a love, true love relationship, the give and return, or kind of give and take, will be but natural, healthy situation where there will be a healthy give and take, because both are in love. When both are in love, both wish to give, nurture the other, fulfill them on whichever level they're capable of. And even if one of them, let's say, more spiritually evolved, they will be humble to bring the other, or with the other person to bring them to the same level, through humility, not through arrogance. Like there are many of these spiritual couples where one is trying to dominate and appear authoritative, like I know better than you. No, spiritually evolved, truly evolved being will humble down for the sake of their partner, to bring them to the same frequency, to help them heal. But the partner would need to also be humble through this higher frequency and connection so that they can actually receive that without, you know, feeling like they are threatened, their ego is threatened. You know what I mean? So this is a food for thought. I think many people would benefit from this understanding because there is a complete, I don't know, like mess on the emotional level at this point. Mess in each and every one's relationships because people connect for all the wrong reasons. They don't understand that when they connect to someone, they also connect to their collective ancestral cluster of consciousness, their bloodlines. So people do not understand what commitment and marriages are. Again, higher frequency will push one to natural commitment. There is the commitment issue is out of question. Most of the people suffer this commitment issue, like one of the partners fails to commit or doesn't want to. Why? Because they came into relationship for all the wrong reasons. If when there is true love, commitment is out of question, is just there naturally, whether you sign the paper or not. Because you surrender and submit to the higher soul contracts, to the higher ancestral visions for this union, so that this union can bring something positive, not only into your lives, but also into the lives of the community. When people are, you know, confused in their relationships, how can they succeed career-wise? Because the foundation is not there. They feel constantly restless, trying to resolve emotional problems when that energy could be going into their career development, or they're trying to build their careers without the foundation of commitment and healthy relationships. So it also is, you know, fluctuating. Careers are fluctuating, or issues are there as well. People try to play with other people's minds, and then they accumulate a lot of negative karmic thoughts and emotions from those people, and their life goes astray. They go down the drain. They start failing. People do not understand that it is not, relationships are not about bodies and their interactions. It's about spiritual, emotional, thought connections first, energy exchange, commitments to the subtle, commitments to the spiritual evolutionary journey. So because we are not taught this at schools, we are failing. We don't have proper leaders. We don't have proper families and clans, which are the foundation of any society. That's why the society is experiencing, I don't know, a breakdown point where there is no truth. The truth is there fundamentally within every person, but we don't have time for the truth. We don't have energy for the truth, because our energy that's supposed to be focused within, be with that truth, it is scattered all over, mostly on the level of emotions and thoughts, where we're trying to resolve mental and emotional problems, mental and emotional issues with other people, when we are not able even to resolve our own, and now we are messed up with other people's thoughts and emotions and their ancestry. So, you know, we're in a full mess. And in order for that to stop, we need to start individually. We have to start focus within. Once we resolve our own being, we start looking for proper connections where our heart is involved, soul is involved. We don't involve with other people for opportunities. We involve because there's natural soul pull, because there is like-mindedness, because we see that we have the same vision, or we can find that vision when we are all connected to that higher frequency, because we find the vision for our soul, for our individual soul, for our contribution of our individual soul journey to the soul journey of the collective, to that restoration of the collective being. Because after all, it's all about that. It's not about your little me that has to to have all that satisfaction and all the levels on the physical level or whatever. No. True satisfaction of the higher being is when it sees that all the limited, all the units, all are going into one collective being. The collective soul is on the way to restoration. And that is the purpose of all the higher teachings. Because once you resolved your dramas and individual issues, you dissolve them. Now you open up your being, you become a part of the collective cluster of higher frequency within the collective consciousness.